There's a general succession planning problem in tech, even outside tech. I genuinely love HR and I genuinely love people. There's a huge gap between senior professionals and like junior professionals. I don't have to pay 500K to hire a social media manager when I can find a 400 level student in Unilag that's been doing social media for a while.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight Podcast. This podcast is for curious minds and aspiring innovators. We dive deep to discuss inspiring, informative, and offbeat conversations in technology, business, innovation, and product to supercharge your career. I'm your host, Iwalola Shoboale, a passionate advocate for insightful discussions that inspire change and growth. Today, we welcome a globally renowned HR powerhouse, Emmanuel Faith, and I'm not. That's not too big, actually. Once I explain everything that this man contributes to the ecosystem, you will see. This 4 times TEDx speaker and award-winning author isn't just a leader in talent acquisition. He's a thought leader who's redefining human resource management. In this episode, Emmanuel will share his insights on building high-performing teams and navigating the future of work. Welcome, Emmanuel. It's a pleasure to have you in the spotlight today. I'm really glad you could make it.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Super delighted to be here. Super delighted to be your guest. Lagos tried to show me Shege, but go past them.
I'm actually really glad you could make it.
Yeah, I am too. Well done with the amazing work you are doing with the Spotlight podcast. I skimmed through some episodes and it's good work. Well done. I hope that the listeners enjoy the episode too.
I think they will actually. I think they will. Thank you so much. So the first thing we'll be doing is a little icebreaker. I really like this because it kind of gets us to like have an idea of how you think. It's like a fun card game. So you don't have to think too deeply about it. I will be sharing my screen. Let me do that now. And basically what you have to do is to select an emoji. Select an emoji. And from that emoji, I'll turn the card around so you can see the scenario that the emoji paints. And then you basically answer it. You tell us your own opinion or what you would do in that scenario. Cool?
Cute. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, great. So just let me know what's
the one with the glasses. That's second. Second, yeah, that one.
Okay. Cool. Zoom in. Could you please read the scenario?
Cute. You're creating a chat bot for customer support. What quirky personality traits does the chatbot have to engage users? I think that the chat box will be very witty. I won't use like normal lingua franca. I would probably use probing things like, so for example, I would not probably say, how can I help you today? I would probably say, what problem can I help you solve today? Or what problem do you have? I'm your solver. Something like that. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I would, that's the first thing. Second thing, I would program the AI to be able to like reconstruct people's words. So for example, say it's a fintech and they say, oh, I want to unlock my accounts, or I want to access my savings. I'll probably not reply with, oh, you cannot access your savings till the day you locked it. I'll probably say something like, oh, did you forget you locked it till this date? Yeah, so it'll probably be like witty, inquisitive, slightly impolite, something like that.
And I think you just summarized the Nigerian, how will I call it? I think that's kind of the way we talk. We're quite witty, we're quite a little bit sarcastic.
Yeah, like you locked the fund till September 30. Why are you asking me to help you unlock it? That kind of thing. Yeah,
I love that.
That's something I would put in my chatbot.
Yeah, that was actually really interesting. I was thinking you would say something very serious, like, oh, the chatbot has to be very formal and things like that. But I think I like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I've interacted with like tech products enough over the last 4 or 5 years to know how we want people to sound. I mean, even when I start by landing pages, I love landing pages that tell me error 404, go back to where you started from. versus the society are trying to assess does they exist now. I
Yeah.
think that in the nearest future, maybe much later in my career, when money is no more a priority, I probably write a book, about just communicating in our like it's there's a language path that's not exactly English or Pidgin, but just intonation and inference that tech products need to learn to be able to connect with Nigerians.
Well, that's so interesting. I actually would really like to read that. You said when money is no longer your goal.
Right now, they also like $10. What's that song?
As in, I think that's the situation everyone is in right now.
Right, right. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so Emmanuel, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So you will find this interesting, and I carry a podcast that is coming out today, and every time people ask me this, I find it very difficult. It's easier in interviews because, like, if I'm interviewing for like a lead HR role, it's a lead HR role. If I'm interviewing for an MBA, I already like I'm creating something for an MBA. But if you just like general, and which is one of the reasons why I also love podcasts. If I'm in like introducing myself, I'm always like, so which part of them myself should I tell them? So I'm going to try to do this in 120 seconds. So my name is Emmanuel Faith, and that's actually the first thing. My name is actually Faith Emmanuel, but
Oh,
yeah, but when you attend the for the high school, and you didn't know the difference between surname and name, and it was when you graduated from uni, you now begin to learn that it's supposed to be Faith Emmanuel. So I was so used to Emmanuel Faith. So now when I'm writing, I just write Emmanuel and I put a comma to let people know that Emmanuel is my surname and Faith is my name. But don't worry, for the purpose of this podcast, call me Emmanuel.
oh,
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, I'm a globally certified human resource professional. I think that's obvious. I have almost a decade experience in HR. That's also something new because I used to say, I have 5 years experience, so I have 6 years experience. But recently, I was in a conversation with my senior colleague who then reminded me that I've been doing HR work since 311 in uni. I'm like, okay, I'm going to change
wow.
that. Yeah. So when I was in university, I managed a brand, like what do they call it these days? Like a social media brand, one of the
Okay.
biggest events and social media brand in uni. So I literally managed the recruitment for the brand. I was the head of operations, right? OA events. So I think I'd written it somewhere, like a public place. He now saw it. He now said, Guy, you need to edit this thing that like you've been doing HR since before you knew HR, right? Yes, I studied OA. I studied economics from University. I started my career in tax. Then I moved to HR. I worked at G as a human resource support. I supported like 8 business partners across sub-Saharan Africa. Then I moved to Carrywise, which is where I think that a lot of people knew me. I was the inaugural HR at Carrywise. I like to brag about that. It meant that I was the first HR and I designed what people and culture looked at like at Carrywise. That means 10 years time when they write the history of Carrywise, they cannot wipe out my name because I built, the people and processes. Yes, I think that I spent a huge amount of time at Carrywise. Huge means 2.5 years.
Well, in today's day and age.
Right, that is huge, right? Yeah, so Carrywise is pretty much exciting. We won a lot of awards. I think the ones that I'm most proud of was that in 2022, LinkedIn ranked Carrywise as one of the top 10 places to work in Nigeria. Top 10 startups to work in Nigeria out of like 1,000 startups. I feel like that
That
was
is no easy feat.
very monumental, right? Then I moved to BCM last year. I like to call my BCM experience a short stint and made magic there. And here we are today. I'm waiting for Netflix to call me. Please, if you are listening to this podcast and you have Netflix agile, tell them to call me. I'm looking for my next dollar paying job. So outside HR, I feel like work is just like a very minute emphasis on that aspect of my life. Outside HR, I'm very vested in anything that has to do with SDG5. And I'm channeling that passion to women football. So I'm very, very passionate about women football. I currently guest write for 2 international platforms, Impetus Football and Kings Meadow Magazine. Kings Meadow Magazine is the magazine that is the certified magazine read by Chelsea women. So if you're like Chelsea women football fan, like one of the first magazines to read is Kings Meadow Magazine, and I guest write for that. Then I guest write for Impetus Football. Impetus Football is a blog in UK and Australia. Very recently, this year, me and my friend Cornelius, we founded a brand called Fevora, and the focus is really just telling the story of African women footballer. So because I've been in the media space for like a year or two, the European and American brands talk about Africa, but they do not know us like we know us, right? So for
Of course.
example, Yeah, so for example, last year World Cup, like they didn't, nobody gave us a chance, nobody rated us, and then Nigeria went into that group and beat the host, got like we literally did not lose any match, like four
Yeah.
matches. And even other African countries, I mean, South Africa beat Italy, even Morocco. Morocco got 6 points in a group that had like an European champion. Like it was just exciting. So we realized that it's that time we start telling our stories. Yeah. So February is doing that. We recently released a very encompassing report on African women footballers' performance across the globe. Right. Maybe I'll share the link with you guys when you guys are publishing. What else? What else? I love K drama. My God, how can I forget that? Yeah, I'm a big fan of K drama, and at leisure you'll find me tweeting about women football, watching K drama, or reading a lot of books.
I
Yeah,
have a follow-up question. Why
let's pause.
women's football?
Very good question. So I'm very interested in SDG5. I am a feminist, unashamedly, because feminism is really just giving women equal access to opportunities, right? So, and I love football, right? And I realized, so a quick answer to that is the most expensive female footballer right now, like the most expensive, she's African, interestingly. She's about like 1 million pounds market value, right? And then the most expensive male footballer right now is about 222 million pounds market value. Yeah. That's
This
the reaction.
disparity is too large. Wow.
Exactly. Now, we cannot say, hey, start paying women 50 million pounds. Why?
Mhm.
Because the way sport works is awareness, visibility,
Mhm.
interest, then investment. So
Mhm.
people have to know that this game exists. Then people have to show interest. Then people have
Yeah.
to carry their money to go and buy tickets, right?
Mhm.
So I am playing in the interest and awareness space. My goal is that when Super Falcons has a match, if they mistakenly bring a Super Falcons match to Lagos, the stadium is full. If
Hmm.
they call the tickets 10,000 naira, the way we go and watch sports in Lagos, we actually carry 10,000 naira to go and watch our women play. That's literally, the long-term plan for me. So just creating the awareness and that interest enough to get the visibility and the revenue that will make women be able to earn what they deserve. And it's a model that's happened in tennis, right? 50 years ago, male tennis players earned a lot more than female tennis players until Billie Jean King came and said, no, this is not going to happen. We want equal pay. And then for equal pay to happen, we need equal revenue and we need equal visibility. And now, the winner of the male Grand Slam earns the same amount, at least average and aggregately, of the winner of the women, female Grand Slam. The last one that this babe bought was her name again? Coco Golf. She won 3 million USD. That's the exact amount that a male Grand Slam wins. So football will get there, and hopefully, I'm one of the four forerunners and champions of that.
That sounds really, really exciting. And I think it's a very interesting problem to be solving. But so that we don't go too much into football. I feel like if I ask you a follow-up question, you're going to be very ready to speak
Yeah,
up.
that's why I said that HR is just like a minute, like my
Yeah.
career is really a minute. But yes, come back to HR, please. Thank you.
So if I wanted to be Emmanuel Faith in like the next, let me say like 10 years, right? I wanted to be you in the next 10 years. What should I be reading, watching, listening to? What are the things I should be exposing myself to?
So you want to be Emmanuel Faith now? That means like you are 10 years ago. What was I doing? 10 years ago was 2014. I just entered OAU. That's a very good milestone. So that means you're like an 100 level student and you want to be Emmanuel Faith. What should you be? I mean, you probably started it because me, I played around finance and tax before I found myself in HR. Luckily, like HR is now becoming a more pronounced and more respected profession because we've now moved from admin and firing and hiring. So just being strategic business partners to co-founders to CEOs, right? So one is that you should start reading about HR. Obviously, if you are lucky enough, please study HR. HR in Nigerian universities are very boring. I'm not ashamed to say it, but at least you will learn the theoretical part. It's saddening that as at last year, I don't know if that's changed. Only 3 universities in Nigeria offer HR as a course: Unilag, Uniport, and I think LASU. Unilag offers something personal relations and management. I think that's Port Harcourt too, and LASU. I hope that the curriculum has updated. So find a school that actually offers CIHR as a course. That would be exciting. Secondly, CIPM is now also becoming more innovative, which is super exciting. They are now creating chapters in university. At least I know that one exists in my university OAU. So join a CIPM chapter. What this does for you is that it exposes you to the basics of HR very early enough, right? So that by the time you're in 400 level, you probably have finished your CIPM, right? If you are lucky enough, you probably have even gotten an internship or two. I have like one or two mentees that their first internship in their life was the Bank of America. Every time I tell them I'm so jealous,
Wow.
like because when I was an undergraduate, Bank of America was not doing internships for HR because HR was far behind, right? But like 1 year ago, I think like 3 years ago, they launched HR internships, and I had one of my mentees got in 2022, another one got in last year, right? So that's so one, just join CIPM, study HR or not, but join CIPM organization, start writing your professional exam from uni. And so I do not, it's very interesting. When I started out my HR career, I did not read HR textbooks. Like I literally bought HR textbooks, or people sent me, or people gave me. There is one of my senior colleague, God bless him. His name is Samuel Akinloton. He bought me two. Two.
Wow.
Like I not finished them.
And you
But
did
what
okay.
but one thing I did was that I read articles. So there was a time in my life where I read an HR article every day for 180 days, like 6 months. Yeah.
That's
And
a
like
great challenge.
yeah, so I wasn't even tracking it. It was my brother that let me know. So every time my brother comes to my laptop, he sees that HR article open, right? And then so he noticed like 3 months. We're like, Dayo, did you notice that you have been reading an article every day? I think that was like the 100th day. So like, you know what? Let's see how long I will keep this going. And by the way, I missed this trick because I was watching Money Heist. That's what made me miss that. But
Well,
like
it's worth it.
but what that did for me was that it gave me depth. There were a lot of things that I even read I didn't understand till I started practicing HR like some years down the line, right? So yeah, I didn't read a lot of this. But what should you be listening to? Again, very bad habits. I just started listening to podcasts last year, but like there are amazing career podcasts and HR podcasts that you can listen to. I know that SHRM is on Spotify and HRCI is also on Spotify. Those are like global certifications and institutes in HR. So you can listen to their podcast. What they do for you is that they give you a global perspective to things. I plan to write a LinkedIn newsletter today if capitalism doesn't catch up with me. And it's just about, so at the moment, Bank of America and Goldman Sachs investment bankers are planning to go on strike. They want to fight for, like it's a labor industrial awareness strike for being overwhelmed and overworked, right? So I'm not sure that will happen in Nigeria anytime soon. But like it exposes your mind when you see that people, workers, not public workers now, private workers are going on strike to fight for their rights. So it just gives you that global perspective when you listen to like global platforms like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I have a little segue.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
this question I've come across, and I think you probably would have to. Is there a specific temperament required to be in HR?
That's a very brilliant question to ask. So, as someone who has read Why You Act the Way You Do and Spirit Controlled Temperament, I would think that a core choleric cannot be an excellent HR, and a core phlegmatic cannot be an amazing HR. So you need a balance of. So if you are a primary choleric, you need a bit of melancholy and sanguine, right? Because choleric are extremely authoritative, extremely audacious, brutal, harsh. You will need your emotions. Like you need to be able to feel what people are feeling. It doesn't mean that you will not sack the person. But I've terminated employments before, and like we became friends. Well, but there's
Wow.
someone that I terminated our employment, and she's super popular, so I won't mention her name, and we are super close friends till date because just the way I carried out the process, the way I explained that, hey, like this is a decision that is good for you as a person and good for us. Like I don't want you to, the person had done like 3 consecutive probation, right? Like I don't want you to come back. I don't want you to. I don't want your axe to be beaten every time we have to review your performance. I just don't think that we are the right fit for you. It's not you, it's us. Right. So you need that bit of being able to connect with your emotions. Yeah. So the best HRs are like Mel, San, or Samuel. Right, people that are very reflective and people that can express themselves freely, because you also need to be able to express. It doesn't mean that as a choleric or phlegmatic you can't be an HR. It just means that you have to work on those weaknesses. But Melsons and Samuels, they are amazing professionals. I'm in between, by the way. So I'm a combination. I don't know what ratio. It switches per the mood and situation.
That's so interesting. I like the fact that you also even applied it to like yourself. That's so interesting. And I'm sure people listening would have gotten a lot of value because that's a question that I see a lot of people who maybe want to get into the space, they keep reflecting upon. So I think it's something they could definitely go in and analyze themselves. All
Yeah.
right. So,
Sorry, 1 second. So before we move on, when I do HR career consulting, especially for people just starting out their career, I also ask them. I will share the link. You probably have interacted with them before. I ask them to take 16 personalities tests. That's Mia Briggs. Yeah. So most HR are ENFJ, ENFP. Very few are INF, but all of them have N and F. Like that's neuro feeling, and like that N is neuro and F is feeling. I can't remember. Like that N and F is always constant. So either is INFP, INFJ, ENFP, ENFJ. Yes, so they can also take 16 personality test or Mia Briggs test. It's always very revealing. In fact, one of the careers listed under ENFP is HR. One of the careers listed under ENFJ is HR. So that could
that's
also
so
be just
interesting.
an
Yeah, I'll,
addition.
I'll make sure that we put the link in the show notes for anyone who's interested. Thank you. So, about you now again, what would you say is your proudest achievement in your career?
See, I saw that question. Remember when I talked about thin slicing? That question jumped at me. I was like, kidding, but I saw the podcast, right? So this I don't understand you. I was like, what will I say in this podcast? So, a bit of reflection when I clocked 30 last month. Omo, that wish you, hey Jesus, I'm going old. Yes. So one of the reflections I did when I clocked 30 was that I do not bask in my wins enough. Right. So I'm always focused on, oh, I want a job. Oh, I want a fully sponsored scholarship. Oh, why is MBA sending me rejection? Oh, why did Chepney reject me? That I do not like sit down to. So when people ask me questions, I'm like, So now I have to think about my wins, right? So I think I would talk about two things. So one was definitely the HR of the year. It was very interesting because so the way it worked was you had to like someone had to nominate you or something. So I actually saw when the nomination started, I saw it. And because I've seen a lot, people send me all the time. I do not like the concept of nomination and voting. I just don't think that it's a fair thing. Right. So one of my friends, I mean, like 2 or 3 of my friends also won different awards in the different categories. So one of my friends who, like, I was the one that helped him start his career in HR. He's now an amazing, one of the best content marketers in the tech space. His name is Michael Oladile. So he was nominated for community manager, right? And I don't know if I will get down to my experience at any point in time, but one of the exciting things I did at CarryWise was to launch. I designed the launch pad for our CarryWise Ambassadors program, right? I don't know where Fermi of Nif Rice and Suya Burger. I think that people know it because I don't know the company is with. Oyeyinka.
Yes.
Oyeyinka is now in Dubai, then Michael. So we literally designed the launch pad for CarryWise Campus Ambassadors program, right? So Michael was nominated for community manager. So he had come to meet me that, hey, was I nominated? Do I want someone to nominate me? The campus ambassadors are there, or they will happily nominate. I'm like, well, let them keep their word. If they can't give me a word, I don't want voting. Somehow, I think I always suspect my virtual assistant. I think that she's the one that championed it. I shall got nominated. So I just got a mail. I have been nominated to Esheo. I did not put that thing out. I did not. People were proposed for people. I did not. So one day, I think it was also my friend Michael was like, "Guy, since they've not nominated you, it's better just pour your energy into this thing." So
Yeah.
I made one tweet and I made one LinkedIn post, and that was all, right? And so just winning that in December, and like all my friends were just so sure I will win, right? I didn't think I would win for two reasons. One, I was out of job for like 4 months. The other two, like guys were like working and they were working with reputable brands. One of them is my super close friend. So like I know, and it's not doing bad too. Like he posts stuff on LinkedIn, very approachable. So when I won that, I'm like, maybe I actually know my stuff. Maybe people believe I know. Maybe I actually know my stuff because it's people, and I did not convince anybody to vote for me. I did not push. I just put it out there. So I think that's very remarkable. I think the second thing was I have to choose between. So when I was at CarryWise, I designed like an 8 weeks LinkedIn learning program. Sorry, what was that? So LinkedIn has a program called LinkedIn Learning. You have to pay for it. It's about 36K USD. So first, I wanted like the management to implement LinkedIn Learning for CarryWise, and they said they don't have money. This is one of the challenges that HR face all the time. Management never have money.
That's budgets.
Right. So I'm like, but I want to do this thing. So I'd send a badass code mail to the learning director of West Africa. That you people, do you know what? Yeah, so it came at the back of winning top 10 startups, to work in Nigeria.
yeah.
So I just sent a DM, thank you very much for the nomination. My name is Emmanuel Faith. I'm the lead people and culture at CarryWise. We are super delighted that you found us worthy. And that nomination, again, my management does not know this story till today. It did not just happen. Like, they actually sent forms, they interviewed, asked questions, asked about processes. So they did not just randomly pick complaints, right? So I sent that DM to the LinkedIn director who had been interacting with me via email. So I said, hey, I love this product. I want to use it. You've already seen how amazing our culture is. I mean, to the extent that you even nominated us as one of the top 10 startups to work. This will even boost our culture the more. The problem is that we do not have money. So would you let us test run your product for 1 month? And this also, boils down to the question of asking. One lesson I learned from my friend Alma Asinobi, like, just ask. I mean, the ones that say is no. So honestly, I was not expecting him to say yes. That's why I was like, oh, that's fine, as long as you will share your story and share the experience. I'm like, why not? Me, Baba storyteller. I'm a share story done. So and again, all this behind the scenes, I don't even think I've explicitly talked about this before because the management did not know that I was, and that's also like a word out there to like HR professionals. Like, we do a lot of things that management do not know. Like, we just come and say, this is the shake that we saw. We just say this is what get done, right? So after a lot of back and emails to and fro, we had to do the LinkedIn learning. Now, it was a lot of work because we first had to do something. I'm going technical now. We had to do something called learning gap analysis. Some people call it like need analysis. What it simply means is that we audit ourselves as a company. For example, HR team. What are the things that you're looking to learn right now? Customer experience team. What are the things you're looking to learn right now? Product team. So I built out like an Excel model, from that. I then now send it to LinkedIn team. And then they now came back with LinkedIn courses that aligns with the things that we had to learn. It was, I think that's the biggest L&D project I've worked on, in a long while. And I was super proud of myself when we were done for 2 reasons. One, we were one of the top learners. Despite the fact that we learned for 2 months, LinkedIn said we were one of the top learners. I mean, the guy even wrote me a recommendation afterward. It's on my LinkedIn profile. That we were one of the top learners, across the year. So in 2 months, we learned more than some people that even have 1-year plan. Right. And then there was another thing. Yeah. So I think that project is definitely an highlight of my career. So those 2 things.
That is so interesting. Can I ask, what was the employees, how many employees did CarryWise have at that time for you to do that analysis and everything?
It was 52.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. I mean, I was going to work on Sunday. Like, my mom, like, lots of Sunday. So I got to work on Sundays on payroll week because our finance manager, is very, 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 the word is hard. It's stronger than meticulous, but I'm going to use meticulous because I cannot remember the word. Yeah, so she nitpicks every naira and cover, right? So I got to work on Sundays. I will not say this on Twitter so that they not drag me, but yeah, I got to work on Sundays on payroll week. So when I was now saying, oh, I'm going to work on Sunday, like, but it's not your payroll week now. Why are you going to work on Sunday? I'm like, oh, I'm working on this project. So it's a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Yeah.
So interesting. So interesting. So from this, I want to say that your superpower is that you don't wait for opportunities to come to you. You go for opportunities. But my next question, really, let me not assume, right? What would you say your superpower is in the HR, talent acquisition in that space?
So I think that 2 things. One is that I genuinely love HR and I genuinely love people. So I picked up a side project last Monday, which is why, I'm doing. So I'm managing business operations for someone, like, pretty much temporarily. Someone left the role and he needs someone to fill in. So, like, it's like my mentor's mentor. So it's someone I can't say no to. I was like, you're not doing anything right now. Yeah, come and do this for me. And so, like, the last week has been like very exciting because I'm managing multiple stakeholders, managing clients and everything. And so he has said that, oh, if he doesn't see someone as good as I am, that would match my last offer and stuff. And, and to come and I'm like, I'm literally, my thought throughout the weekend is that, I love HR too much to do something that is outside HR. So I genuinely love my field. And so because I love my field, I am continuously thinking about, so this is the theory. So this is what they taught us. So this is what this man with 20 years experience did. How can I do the same thing in a more relatable way, in a more exciting way? One of the most amazing feedback that someone has given me, the person does not know because he just made a random tweet, was that my rejection mails look like a love letter.
Wow.
Like when I read that, so it wasn't even like, so they were dragging complaints, and then I think it was 2022, and so people were talking about amazing complaints, and of course they mentioned Carrywise, and so people are just saying different things about Carrywise. Oh, the ambassadors are great. Oh, their customer experience is this. Oh, their recruitment is awesome. And then someone came and said, you don't need Emmanuel Faith. My friend that sent me a rejection mail that looks like a love letter. And
Wow.
like,
That is actually a compliment.
whoa. And then I think it was earlier this year. So I made a tweet saying, I don't think I've sent a rejection mail using unfortunately before in my life. And so I now put a tweet out that, hey, if you've interacted with me as an HRN recruitment process before, so I didn't manage end-to-end BCM recruitment at BCM, but Carrywise I managed end-to-end. Like it begins with me, goes through the hiring managers, and end with me. At BCM,
Wow, that's a lot of work, and you were the only HR.
Yeah,
at that time.
for the largest time, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So at BCM, it starts with the talent team, then goes to the hiring manager, then ends with the hiring manager. But Carrywise, now it starts with me, goes through the hiring manager, and ends with me. Because I was very deliberate about just giving people exciting experiences. So it's just that, what new way can I do things? What new way can we do this? So this is theory. So how can we do the practical differently? So this is performance management. This is what Ocals say performance management. Fine, they've taught us this theory. How practical can we do this? How scalable can we do this? How more humane, more relatable can we do this? Throughout my time at Carrywise, there was no time that the management had to lay someone off themselves, because they just know that one do it in the most. I remember one time I got an alert. So at Carrywise, we send our money to like our stash, right? So I got an alert of 200K. I just woke up. I also 200K in my stash. Who sent it? Razak Ahmed. Hey, what has happened? And I said, oh, thank you for handling the exit of this employee so beautifully. I did not know that it would be that smooth. Like, imagine that like exit is one of the most difficult things to handle in HR, because you're trying to like, part on a good note. It's a very delicate scenario. But every exit, nobody, like, even I think like one or two exits at BCM, and like they cannot see me outside and not greet me, right? So it's just, how innovatively can you do these things? This is the theory, but how more humane can you carry out your processes? I really think that's my super. And then because I genuinely love people, so other things are like extra. Either you're performing well. There's someone still at BCM today that was put on probation twice, and then like the third time they wanted to lay him off. And like I just told the hiring manager and the management that if you lay this person off, you will regret it, because it's going to take you 3 months to replace the person. The person is in sales. The economy is not doing well. Boo just, is it Balablu? Balablu just entered. people are holding their money. Like, just I think at the end we have to settle for like a percentage reduction in his commission or something. Yeah, we reduced again about innovative ways, right? So we reduced his base, then increased his commission.
Okay.
Do you get? So, and again, that's like compensation and benefit strategy. So we do not want to lay you off. You are not performing. No, this is and like I provided a solution. Let's reduce your base salary and increase your commission. So if you make more money for the business, you also make more money yourself, because you get a percentage commission. And like, it's still there till date. It's now one of their best performers, right? So
imagine. Just with that simple strategy.
Yeah, so that's like an average HR will just say, oh, let's lay him off. It's too probation. And again, just to put it out there as a disclaimer, it would not be a bad idea, because I mean, you put someone on probation twice, the next thing is a termination. But does that really have to be the next? Are there other things we can do before we do that termination? That's really how I think about HR. Right.
That's really profound, actually. I think it even makes me reflect. The word you use, humane, I think it's very, very, very key in this conversation, right? And I'd like to see how we, go around that as we go along. The next question I wanted to ask you here, and I think you've basically hinted at it, but maybe we would just go a little bit deeper into it, is what are like the pros and cons, like the challenges that companies face, in this space when they are recruiting and managing top talent in Nigeria?
Oh, that's very okay. Yeah, so this is a tech-focused podcast. Thanks. Yeah, so that's a very interesting question to ask. I think that the biggest challenge, and I was saying it earlier on a call, with a product. Hey, Jesus, these people, they gave me money to do promotion for them, not send me materials. Anyway, me, I spent the money. So it's a, I think it's a product they're trying to like link talent with industry and all that. And I was just discussing with a co-founder, and one of the things that I highlighted is that there's a huge gap between senior professionals and like junior professionals. So if you look at the tech industry, like the most amazing guys started their career like 7 years, 8 years ago, some 10 years, right? And like they just built. Some of them have become co-founders and everything. And then there is no next set. Then there is now junior, those that started their career like 2 years, 3 years ago. So you can't look for mid-level. One of my friends is trying to organize, he's not trying, he's organizing like a marketing meetup called the marketing therapy. I'm doing PR for him. Hopefully this podcast comes up before his event. And so we were talking. So he was asking me for content ideas. I'm like, oh, you can do like segmentation, senior marketing professionals, junior marketing professionals. So he just says, so this person is the person senior or junior? I said senior. This person is the person senior or junior? I said junior. So why did you say junior? Because this person works here. So like there is no mid-level talent. They're just extremely senior talents and then like junior talent. And that was really, I don't know how the industry missed out. And that's why I'm super grateful for platforms like Product Dive, like Alt School, like this babe, Bolane Banwo's design brand. Like those people that have just seen that there's a learning gap in the industry and I've just committed to bridging that gap. So that's like the first problem. Because what has happened is that all the senior talent, all of them have gotten technician. They're in London, UK, Germany, you get. And the ones that are in Nigeria, you cannot pay them because they earn in dollars. It's also one of the problems I have right now. Like there are very few companies that can afford me, like in Nigeria. Do you get? Yeah, so that's like the first challenge. I think the second challenge is also the industry itself is still new, even though we've been around for a decade. One of the most exciting things that happened last year, by the way, was this Innovating Africa or Innovating Tech documentary by PCTimi. I think that was one documentary that I told an amazing story. So it's still a very young industry. For example, content marketing didn't exist 10 years ago. If it existed, it probably was not called content marketing, right? I mean, in the last 3 or 4 years now, we've seen the demarcation in marketing. There is growth marketing, there's product marketing, there's content marketing. Some people are now say all they want to do is email marketing. So people are now doing SEO writing. Before it was just writing. Who cares about SEO? So the fact that a lot of these niches are still very new, founders really need to understand that, and they need to understand what they want to. I helped, by the way, can you see? When I was introducing myself, I didn't talk about HR Clinic. So like when I launched HR Clinic last year, HR Clinic is an initiative, where I sort of provide like HR advisory for founders, tech founders, NGO. There was a founder, I think it was this year. The major thing I helped this guy to do was to just draft job descriptions. And like I was so happy that he realized that, hey, I want to recruit people. I didn't know the kind of people I need. So let me talk to you so that you can even draft the job description that will attract the right kind of talent. And a lot of funders in companies, even HRs, miss out on this, right? For example, like I'm shading HRs and I'm shading a particular company right now. You hire someone from PwC, someone that spent 10 years in PwC to go and work in tech. He does not understand tech. Does he know the content marketing? And no, it does not, right? So you need talent, like to attract the kind of talent that you need to even define them, right? And then it's after that job analysis that you have put a job description that whoever is applying self, we know that if you do not have the skills that you apply, this is village people, it's not your pastor, right? So just that part, the companies knowing what they need and being able to define what they need in a very lucid job description. That's like, another major challenge.
Wow. So one is the fact that we don't seem to have a lot of
mid-level talents. Yeah.
Okay. And the second one is that companies don't even understand the rules,
the kind of talents. Yes, that they want. Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
and
yes.
Would you say that the first problem, not having the mid-level talents, do you think is because of Jackpot, or do you think it's something else? Maybe we don't have a well-developed tech pipeline.
I loved that I used the word pipeline.
Okay.
The second is a problem, but I think it's more of the first.
Okay.
So at least I can speak for people that are like my close friends. Some of my friends went to London Technician last year. 6 months before they went to London, they were not planning to go to London. Like I can categorically tell you for that. Both of them were living career-wise. There was no other company, because if you live career-wise, Where else do you want to work?
Well, like,
Paystack and Flutter, right? And
yeah.
that was, it was literally an industry cap, right?
Mm.
And so, like, okay, this is what is next, right? So they did not, if there was like, for example, 10 Flutter waves in Nigeria, they probably would not have left. If Buhari was not the president and, you know, and the economy was not shitty, you know, they probably would not have left. Like, for context, between then and now, they've come to like Nigeria like twice, like in 1 year, right? So you'd see that like they did not really want to leave, they just had to leave. So that's one. And I tell people that people, I think I make tweets like this, okay, that people underestimate, people really, really underestimate how macroeconomic can narrow down to impact industry. Like, if the macroeconomy is not functioning, we cannot function. Because what will happen is that a few people can afford a lot of things. I know you saw the tweet. Someone made the tweet last week that we work remotely and earn in dollars, not the queue for petrol station.
As in, I saw the guy going to Takai Petrol for one of his staff. I'm like, God.
Yes, money, you know, the scripture says money is a weapon, money is a shield. But in this Nigeria, the arrow of poverty and structural problems will eat you. So yes, definitely, immigration, you know, is a big deal. But I love that you also mentioned pipeline. When I speak to HR professionals, a huge thing I talk about is succession planning. So if this person leaves now, I mean, like, see this project I'm working on now. Is this that's what happened to my mentor, right? He did not think that this babe will leave, and the babe just woke up and said, like they have an amazing relationship. I mean, like, you know, she's handing over stuff to me, like, but like, I was like, well, God, I don't serve you enough. So now he's stranded because he needs a quality person to replace her. She's worked with him 4 years, right? So he did not think that the person, and so he did not even train anyone internally to, because I'm asking the guys on site now that, oh, so who was shadowing the, you know, who can I speak to on these projects? Who can I speak to on this deal? You know, like, there is that gap. So there's a general succession planning problem in tech, even outside tech. If this person leaves today, who are the people under the person? Who are the people that can shadow the person? Who are the group of people? I remember the last one big thing that I worked on when I was at Carriwise. When our lead marketer was leaving, you know, for me, like, there were like 3 people that could do, I mean, none of them can directly replace him, but they could do part of the things that he did. There was someone that knew email marketing like Ferrum. There was someone that knew content marketing like Ferrum. There was someone that knew community manager, you know, management like Ferrum. So we did not have to like hire someone, you know, in a hurry, because they were already forecasted that, man, the way this relationship is going, someone have to X for one. And of course, his employee that used to X for employers. And so I deliberately spoken with him. I also just spoke with the team that, hey, you know, start shedding some responsibilities, show people how you do this thing. I know someone, there was one of them back then that literally used to stay 2 hours after just to learn email marketing, because she did not know jack about email marketing before then. Right. And so by the time he finally pulled the plug, there were people that could step in to take bits and teats, you know, of what he was doing before another head of marketing was hired. People do not pay attention to succession planning, just the way people do not pay attention to HR analytics in Nigeria. But like, succession planning is very important. How is knowledge being, just a word for it? Hey, Holy Spirit, please remind me. So like, people own knowledge. So how is that ownership of knowledge being democratized? Is it just someone that can do all these things in your team, right? So for example, what happens if your CTO leaves? Do the other engineers know the kind of language that your code base is written, right? Can they go to the front end and fix something? Can they come to the back end and fix something? Do they understand the architecture, you know, of the product, right? If your head of design goes today, who understands where all your Figma files are, right? You know, so just that democratization of knowledge, that accessibility to expertise, and just succession planning, it's something that people, leaders, and managers need to pay attention to. Yeah.
Yes, I really agree with you on this. And I think this is one thing, this is you some of the time, this is why you may be looking at 2 companies who appear to have the same like manpower, the same position in the market, and maybe one is just doing one thing far better and they're progressing far ahead of the other. Sometimes it could just be a key person that had all the knowledge about one specific thing has left, and nobody has the knowledge of how to get it done. So even if something that might take that person 1 hour to do because he knows exactly where to find it, even if you spend 3 months, you can't find it just
With
because that
someone
person is there from the beginning. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So in our
Right.
context now, and you know, you mentioned HR clinic, and I assume that from HR clinic, right, what you do is you basically help founders solve some of the HR problems. You're providing advisory services, right? So what are some of the
Mhm.
strategies that you have, you know, advised them to carry out, and how have you in terms of these issues that we you pointed out, and how have you seen, like, what improvements have you seen?
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, some things are bounded by confidentiality, obviously, so I cannot share. But I mean, I just talked about a company that I helped walk through their recruitment process. I was not even involved in the recruitment process, just because the quality of the job descriptions I drafted helped them attract the kind of talent that they wanted. There's a company also that I helped design like an employee engagement program through compensations and benefits. So I think this came from a very funny way, because I'd written a LinkedIn newsletter on compensations and benefits and the kind of benefits that I've seen, during my job application. And so the person just sent me a DM and say, hey, I've been thinking about new ways to reward my employees. I do know I want to, but I do not know how. And my HR is not also getting it. Do you think you can jump on a call with both of us? And I think that was, and I am putting this out there, not defending funders, but that people need to give funders grace, because most funders have technical backgrounds. Like if you pick like 10 companies, six of them have two data analysts, two backend engineers, one for 10 and one designer that founded a company. You would really, I think Go Lemon is like the first, yeah, in recent times, Golemon is like the first tech company that I'm seeing that like an HR is part of the funding
Yeah.
members, right? So they don't just know these things, and they just don't think that it's important for them. Products should go live, and they should push products to customers so that investor will give them more money. So people need to give funders grace, because some funders do not genuinely understand people, right? Yeah, so I think that was really exciting. I designed like a end-to-end compensation and benefits, suggested new ways they can reward employees. One of the things I shared with them was that, for instance, anniversaries should be celebrated, more momentarily and more monumentally. That's also another thing I've noticed in Nigeria. And like there are companies that do this, shout out to them, the Paystack and big events, It's very important that, because we spend a lot of time at work, right? It's very important that if someone is spending milestone with you, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, it is Nigeria. One staff is spending 3 years for you, and you're not celebrating the person. That's bad, right? So yeah, so convention has benefits, employer branding. There's a company also that was looking to do a bit of employer branding internally and externally, right? Wanted people to know more about their brands and stuff. And I just sort of mapped out strategies on things that they can implement. I like the advisory part because I don't get to do the implementation. I don't have the stress. Just talk to me for 1 hour and give me my dollars and let me go.
You're the McKinsey of HR. Oh God, I
There's
love it.
just to get an MBA now, so that I will
Yeah,
have all the rep and all this expertise needed.
I
As
love it.
company know what employ me, make I employ myself.
I love it. But I think this also gets you to be exposed to a lot of different organizations, the way they think, the way they do things, right?
Yes, it does, and that's why I made that introduction statement about just speaking from founder's perspective. It's been very, yeah. Now that you mentioned it, it's actually like an add-on, because to be honest, I'm not. What's the word? The word consultants use is volume. Like I've not done the kind of volume that I would assume like to be doing. So I speak to a client, maybe like one client in a week, 3 clients in a month, but it's pretty much exciting that those 3 conversations are like very rich conversations. It's a huge honor for me that someone wants to like listen to my expertise and pay for it, but I also just learn a lot, even on our products, about different kind of. And I think there was one thing that I made a twist that people are building innovative products. Someone had, so I did a product. Oh, by the way, let me put it out there. Please, I'm doing HR product testing. We are looking to launch HR product. I want to know the market viability. Come and speak with me. So there were one of my guys that were just building like I think it was a reward and recognition product, and I was just really fascinated about the touch process. And it just Nigerians are amazing innovative. We just need a good thriving environment to work. So yeah, that's major.
Yes, if only we had all the infrastructure we needed, right? I feel like we'll be
Yo,
going
we
at 10
will
times the speed that we are right now.
Joe will be giving US a run for their money and their
Honestly,
development.
yeah.
We
I
have the
can't wait for
talent.
that.
It's the resources we
Yeah.
have. Amen. It shall happen in our lifetime.
I mean, amen. Okay, so let's zoom
Yeah.
out a little bit, right? what would you say are the, in general, like our unique strengths as Nigerian tech talents? Just looking at us in general, not maybe not specific people in particular.
So one is that we are resilient, right? Forget all the bashing that they do for Gen Z online. Me, I've worked with Gen Zs. We are resilient. Like we do not give up at first glance. Yeah, so it's not working the first time. But yesterday was Sunday, right? I was chatting with my friend.
Yes.
I hope he doesn't get to listen to this part. Joe was one of my friends yesterday morning. I'm like, oh, after church, let me come and it's church, it stays close to my church. So I'm like, let me come and cook for you because he does not cook. And me too, I will eat since I'm coming to cook for you. And he was like, Oma, I know they also I go also for meta ads. That's like ads. Ads is a part of marketing. And like
Yes.
it's just interesting that because something is not working on a Sunday morning, is going to meet like a senior colleague who has the expertise of that thing just to learn how it works. That's only US has that level of resilience, from the talents I've interacted with across the globe. Can never be a French person. You cannot even joke with a French person's evening, not to not talk of weekend.
You guess when they was take
Weekend.
us, yes, I come and be saying nonsense.
You cannot touch it. So Nigerians are very, very resilient. We are also versatile. So if you pick an average person, like for example in Nigeria today, if you pick an average graduate, it's either the person was an extreme bookworm that finished with a first class or a strong 2-1, or the person they finished with a good grade, but the person has sewed wig, sewed bosico, sewed earrings, sewed food, sewed pepper. So because of the very harsh environment that we are in, we are continuously versatile and innovating ways to survive. And we translate that to the workplace. I know a company that started hiring from Nigeria. I can't even mention their name. It's Bloomberg. Bloomberg started hiring from Nigeria. I mean, they started like 2018, 2017, hiring finance and all that. But like in 2021, they started hiring from Fed, from Nigeria, right? Like there's now a lot of Nigerians working with Bloomberg because they just tested us once and they realized that we're okay.
Try us,
Right?
just one taste.
So there's now a lot. So there were like one or two people that moved with Bloomberg in 2021. 2023 became like a dozen. 2023 was a flood. Like there's a
Wow.
unit in Bloomberg right now that all of them, they are like 10 in that unit. 9 are Nigerians, 3 are Ghanaians. Like
Wow.
they have sent the UK in a unit in Bloomberg, right? So it's just that versatility, that continuous innovative way of doing things in very harsh conditions. You then imagine there's one of my friend working with Asana was like, Mo, they're paying me a lot too. I'm just doing small things for them. Because like in Nigeria, it was earning like 1/100 of that and doing like 72 things together.
You would do
And now it's just doing
everything.
and I just doing one thing, and they are
Okay.
even excited about the space of execution. It's like, why
Hmm.
will I wait till tomorrow when I can fix it today? When you work with fathers that will call you at 11:59 p.m. to push code, right?
Yeah.
So just that versatility and innovation, it's one thing that stands out us, globally.
That's that's really amazing to hear actually, because I think the general what we usually hear is the negatives, or one Nigerian went here and did one fraud or one thing or the other. So it's really great to hear actually that our pros are more than our cons, right? Yeah, so based off of this conversation, what people are saying about Nigerian tech talent, right? I'm sure you'd have seen the Twitter uproar, or I don't know, should I call it Twitter
Banter,
battle that was happening,
they're always
right?
battling. Yeah.
Yes, marketing folks versus technical folks. And I think this is the age-old non-technical versus technical conversation. It seems like um this conversation will continue to happen the way it usually does in Nigerian tech Twitter space, where this week we're talking about one specific conversation, 2 months later again the conversation keeps coming
Yeah,
up
it
and up,
just
right?
comes up. And
Yes.
you're like, I
So
thought we sorted this 2 months ago.
do you get do you get so I mean, I'm interested in your perspective on this conversation. Do you think this is something that maybe HR has a role to resolve? Or what do you think is like the underlying problem for like that causes this conversation all the time?
Yeah, thank you very much for asking. And I think that when the whole issue happened, I think I made a tweet saying all I say is the people problem, right? That some people are not recognized. I think that The Yoruba proverb that is coming to my head is not cute. So let me swallow it. But I just think that we all have an inflated ego of each other, right? We are all very important. And that's the honest truth. I've been worked in tech for like 4 years plus, and more importantly, interacted with founders. We are all important. Like a product will not go to market itself, and that's the honest truth. Like you can build an amazing product. I remember that this is very hilarious. This is shade to a company. There is a company right now that is doing adverts, doing billboards, and putting everything out there. When we were at that company, we were begging, Jesus, what did we not do? Spend money on adverts. Let us advertise. Let us like no, our product is good enough. We have a good let us continuously leverage organic marketing to Now you go everywhere in Lagos, you will see their banner, right? So I just think that people have overinflated ego. Like every part of the team is important, and I think that this also boils down to one, founders, two, people managers. So there's something I've noticed in tech, right? So because most tech, and that's why I feel like I have a lot of marketing friends because of this, marketers like me. So I feel because most founders often have tech background, there's a way that they feel like engineers are important. And then if you check companies that maybe they have, this is why I mean, I don't even use Piggyvest. Sorry, Odon, if you listen to this. But which is why Piggyvest will be one of like the best tech startup out there. Because when you look at their founders, they are like, there's a design person, there's a marketing person, there's a people person, there is versus people that they are just two engineers, one designer, one engineer, one design, one product manager. Because 90%, maybe that's a huge percentage. I don't like throwing numbers out. Maybe 6 out of 10 startups, were funded by people with technical background. They really do not rate that, using the Twitter lingo, the efforts that people with non-technical background, which is one of the reasons why I really loved Treford and God bless Peace Obinani, the idea of no code summit. That hey, there's a sector of a whole lot of people that are working in tech and make tech work and do not write a line of code. And like it's very important that the whole tech industry gets that. Oh yeah, now run your company without social media manager, or run it without marketing. Put product out there. You've made product out there. Yeah, put it. Let's see if we come out. Do you know how many products is being churned out every day? Do you know how many fintechs we have in Nigeria? All of them are doing naira to dollar. We still cannot pay iTunes with our card. God bless Great Finance wherever they are. At least they've been working for me, right? So I just think there's an overinflated ego, one, and then just being myopic, not understanding the impact of what people do. If you sit down and you realize that, if I have an amazing product without marketing, it will not get out there. I do not think that someone, particularly someone of that influence and impact in the tech space, will come and tweet nonsense like that, because that tweet was absolute shit. I mean, I did not reply. I do not like to reply people directly on Twitter. My next client might be coming from you, but that tweet was shit. No, I do not expect that, because I even went to check his company and I saw that there was someone with content and marketing. And then, I was telling people in my circle that how do you want that person to feel, right? So every role is important, every role. And if you want to know, just don't post on Instagram now, don't post on Twitter, don't post. Just build your product and leave it on Play Store and Apple Store, and let's see how people know about it.
The market is very competitive
so that's
right now. Yeah, the market is very competitive right now. So I think just like you said, every role is important. Like there is no it's not like maybe 20 years ago where you can say, oh, one organization has better tech than another. Right now, everybody has great tech, right? It's usually, oh, how can we market it to them, or who are our target audience, where can we meet them, where can we find them? So I really like that perspective that you shared. Okay, so I think we're all aware that this conversation came off the back of the bigger conversation about the peer, right? So I'm really interested in hearing your own perspective from the HR point of view. What do you think could have been done differently, or what do you understand, from that whole scenario with the peer?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So two things. I mean, there is the fact that they packed up. It's not the first time I would see a tech company packed up. I think I made a tweet around that time that is there like a terminology for it, like the way we have exit processes in HR. Like, is there a platform where we can visit companies that packed up? Why did they pack up so that we can go there and share lessons? I'm not sure that we have anything like that in Nigeria. Someone had replied a tweet with a company, and I want to check out. I don't know if it's an African company. I definitely know it's not a Nigerian company. So obviously, I mean, there is the product viability, there is the timing, there is the infrastructure, but I mean, we saw the same thing with LaserPay, right? But I think that the part I'm very interested in is the running expenses. And then, that was now what battered the so people hire shiny marketing talents. Back to workforce planning and strategy. So there's a company that I consulted with, right? They were talking about just getting the right talents. And I kept on saying, do not splash your money on shiny talents. It doesn't mean that hiring shiny talent is bad. There is one company that wanted to hire me. They are a Texas 23 company. I mean, like, my friend even referred me in good faith. And I took the interview for courtesy purposes because I know that they can't afford me. And even if they had offered me, I would not accept it. I'm not going to let you go bankrupt because you want to hire a superstar HR manager. I told the founder that I will recommend people that will do good job and earn less than what I'm asking for. You do not have to have me on board to have a good HR. And I found 3 of my friends, and one of them got a role, right? And it's with them now because he's cool with earning that amount. So when you are starting out, you do not have to hire shining bright talents. Not because it's not a bad idea, but because there are actually people that are very hungry, that want to do good job. If you just give them small 200K like this, and they would do. Now, am I promoting getting underpaid? No, absolutely not. But there are people that genuinely are good. As if one company reached out to me today that they want 10 content marketers, I would refer. And there are people that if you pay 300K, they will pay for you. And so if you can get that talent, why do you want Amas, to work with your company? Why do you want Ferry to work with your company? Yeah. No, you don't have to hire a shining bright star if you cannot afford them. So that's a mistake that companies make. They hire shiny bright stars. What am I saying? There's one company here, I don't want to say their amounts now so that my next supplier. There's one company that offered me exactly twice of what I was earning at PCM. I'm not joking. Wow. I mean, the company was bought 4 months after. But just imagine why BCM was paying me well, by the way. So imagine company comes and offers to double. I just looked at the company. You are 3 years old. It's not like your product is that where are you seeing this money that you want to? I mean, his story also broke out, by the way. It's the one that they said was paying himself 5K. Per month. No. So obviously, he was able to double. He was able to offer to double my salary, right? So you do not have to hire shiny talent because shiny talent costs a lot. They will deliver a lot. We will deliver a lot. We are amazing. We are badass like that. But it's very okay that you cannot, afford shiny talent. You can actually find great talent. There was one company that was telling that, hey, you know what? You need a finance intern. Go to student finance clubs in uni. All of them are people that are first class graduates and they have finished their ICA. Uni students are smart, too. Jesus. Uni lag. Uni learning. If they undo your accounts like this, you would think it's all that has 3 years experience that is, handling your account. And they are course board like that. They're 300 level students writing Mada's code. 400 level students doing design that will blow your mind. Find these guys and pay them 250K and see the magic they will work for you. No, you want to go and hire GB of design on Twitter. Because you want further. So find these raw talents where they are and let them use your companies as starting point, adding value with the limited resources that you can provide for them. Versus, I know CDPN, there was one talent that they hired and that person, when they made that, when I heard what the person said, I was laugh. That was that was 2022, by the way. I didn't even. I'm hey, okay. And none of us just moved on, right? So it's sad, but I think it's also one big lesson. So, and by the way, this is not even just a marketer thing. I know that after this was the shade on marketer. even
Yeah.
devs, right? Even design, we will not hear their story because they are these marketers that are always like bear the
Mm.
bonds. But like I know companies, one of my friends is like a badass packet designer. He declined an offer. I was like,
Okay.
you cannot afford me full time. Don't worry. I work for you 20 hours, pay me this. Because
Okay.
if I give you my full-time fee, you cannot pay me.
Yeah.
So I'll work for you 20 hours, pay me this so that you have resources for other things too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that, and it's because he's a kind person.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else, we just collect the dollars, build something, and move on to another company. So I
Yeah.
think that fathers really need to learn that you do not have to hire like shiny stars at the beginning.
Mm.
Hire talents who want to do the work within the resources that you can afford and
Mm.
start building from that. 3 years, 4 years down the line, you will hire, there will always be, there are plenty. And shiny
Mm.
talents keep coming up, so you would find them.
Yeah. So I think that maybe if we go back to the beginning, we can almost see the like where the things align, right? So do you think that the hiring of shiny tech talents, do you think it's because they of the what we basically said is, the issue with the tech pipeline we have currently in Nigeria, where there isn't a mid-level, there's a senior and there's a junior. So if these startups cannot, they are not ready to take the risk, they are not ready to do any hand holding to train anybody from the junior level, do you think that's why they're having to go for the people that really are just out of their um income, what would I call it, their salary brackets?
That's a very brilliant question to ask. And like I like that you're asking this question. So I think when I look at the tech ecosystem, I really look at it as an ecosystem, right? Back to talent strategy. If you are like just starting out your career, you are trying to beat out the marketing team. You are thinking, what is the most important element in the marketing team? I need a talent that can do, maybe I need a talent that can do SEO and write content writing and email writing. So someone, I need a social media manager, right? I need a product marketer. Okay. Which one do I need right now? Product marketer. Right. Next, social media manager. I don't have to pay 500K to hire a social media manager when I can find a 400 level student in Unilag that's been doing social media for a while. Right. I will pay 150K and will be a big girl in a class. Right. There were a lot of undergrads in BCM that when I heard that they're undergrads, I'm like, what? Because of
So
how
they were delivering.
brilliant and how amazing. There was one final year babe that was running a final year project. I'm like, what do you mean you're in final year? You show up for this event, you do this. Please take the leave. But like I gave her 3 weeks leave. Please let it not be that it's BCM that lets you fail your exam. Right. So
Yeah.
agile roles that does not require like certification, like years of experience to get done. Yes. Can you find very affordable resources in that role? Yes. Now, a social media manager is totally different from a social media strategist. But guess what? At the beginning of your company, you do not need a social media strategist. You just need a social media manager, someone that creates awareness. 3, 4 years down the line, you can start thinking about a coordinated social media strategy. You want to launch, you want to do an innovation, you want to do a GTM that would take the country by the storm, right? Then you can hire a social media strategist. But at the beginning of your career, what you need is a social media manager. So yes, there is the gap. There is a obvious functional and competence gap. But within that gap, you can still decide, which is why I said companies do not know what they need. You can still decide that this is what you need and find, the talent that can meet those needs. For example, like if you're putting out a product team now, you can hire one very senior person and hire 2 graduates of product dive. If they fuck up, send to be what's her name? What's her surname again? Otokiti. That I had to
This is your budget. Hello, madam. What's going on?
You get, you want to be that your design team. Hire one super amazing, brilliant. In fact, you do not even have to hire the person full time. I had put the person in a 6-month contract and I had 3 graduates of Geneva School of Design by Bola Lebao. I said to Bola later, I have 3 people.
Please make sure that
and let those, if I say universities say, oh, give me your best graduating students from the last cohort, right? And then let these 3 people also understudy from the senior designer that you have. Let the senior designer build the architect of your designs and your framework and
Mhm.
everything, because you cannot afford a senior designer full time for like 1 year, right?
Mm.
And if you say that comes and say, oh, all I can give you is 20 hours of my time, and like that's okay,
Mm.
right? So now that I'm talking to you, like I need to write more, and
Oh, this,
I need
yeah,
to
I
stop
think you need
teaching
to write about this actually.
because this is like a lot of knowledge that people actually do not know and are aware of,
Mm.
right? Yeah, so that's how I think about talent strategy, to be honest.
Mm.
Yeah.
So the path that this conversation has taken, I think anyone listening to this will now begin to grasp how important HR is in the startup
My
space,
sister,
in
it's
business and
very,
everything.
very
If you're
yes.
managing, maybe if you got funding of, let's say, $10,000, you can't use $10,000 to go and hire your your developers. What are you going to do? Like, what's going to happen next? So if you had a great HR, right, that person's going to help you figure out how can you get the value that you need with the resources that you have, right? So
That you are, yes.
yeah, I love the part that this conversation has taken. A little bit of a segue just based on something you said, right? And I think this is a question that is like an age-old question, but I'd love to know your perspective on it. Hard skills versus soft skills, which is more important? So do you want someone who
Ah,
sabi the work well, right? Or do you want somebody who doesn't really sabi the work, but like he shows up when he's supposed to show up and is able to, work with people, collaborate with people, communicate with people well?
so that's a very good question. And 9 out of 10 times, my response is always soft skill. And the
Mm-hmm.
1 out of 10 time is if it's like a quick project. So if it's a 3 month sprint,
Okay.
2 month sprint,
Mm-hmm.
1 month sprint, and bring all your,
Mm-hmm.
I need your hard skills. Let's work on this project, get it done, and move out. But for an
Okay.
organization, soft skills, please. And the reason is
Mm.
simple. One of the soft skills to even have is willingness to learn, right?
Mm.
Ability to learn is a soft skill.
Yeah.
And so even if you do not know, you can learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this also spills into culture. Like when you say a company has a toxic culture, for instance, sometimes the company's culture did not start out as toxic. They actually started
Mm-hmm.
out very warm, very respectful, very
Mm-hmm.
respectful, very mutually understanding, very polite, very people own their work. And then they just
Mm-hmm.
hire someone and
Hmm.
comes to poison
Just one
it.
bad egg.
And then the poison begins to spread, right? Or you have a company, I think that was when I was reading about Netflix. So you have a company with 10 superstars, and then you hire an average person and a low-minded person, right? And then they now begin to poison the superstars with average performances, right? So it's always soft skills for me over hard skills. Yeah. Majorly
Love
because hard
that.
skills can be learned. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. I think that's the same position I would take. I would take that same position. Awesome. So rounding up this conversation, what's that one piece of advice that you would give to any aspiring HR professional out there? Someone who is like, this seems like an interesting space, but okay, let me just try my hands at this. What's that one piece of advice that you have for them?
Don't do it, child.
Oh no.
There was one I think I think it was one. I can't remember. I think I was asked this question. I'm like, don't worry, don't do HR. Okay, that's a joke. What's one advice as you start your career? The biggest dichotomy in HR is managing business perspective and is it business expectations and employee? No, yeah, it's business perspective and employees expectations. That's like your biggest dichotomy. The business will continuously make demand of you, and the employees will continuously expect things from you. And that's all you're going to spend your job career solving. How are you going to equip people enough to meet business expectations? And how are you continuously going to state the case of the employees enough to the business to ensure that business empowers the employees to do, good work? That's literally the great the biggest part. Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, so be humane, be strategic, be very innovative. Our daddies and mummies have done HRs in the way that they can do it. It is our turn to do HR in the way that we think is right. Yeah. So
I love that. I love that. So you're basically encouraging them to think, they have a big picture mindset, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Love it. Awesome. So, is there anything exciting you're working on right now that maybe you'd like to share with the listeners? Where can they learn more about you and your work?
Great. I mean, aside HR clinic, yeah, which I launched recently. Not recently. How am I don't tell? It's like so. This stuff started as a joke, to be honest. I can't believe it's not something serious. Anyway, yeah. So please, HR clinic. If you're a founder, an NGO founder, and I've spoken to a couple SME owners, which is also very interesting. That they also have like real time people challenges, right? Please sign up for HR clinic. Do you know what is exciting about HR clinic? There's no fixed fee. So it's sliding scale. So you come on and you actually pick how much you want to pay, right? And of course, like there are the options of payments, but like there's also a place that say order, right? And then you input the amount you can afford. And if it's something I think I can take, I have the conversation with you, which is my friend has said I should change that. But like I really like the idea. The fact that people can come with what they can afford and I can provide them the solution they need. What other thing? I'm working on an HR ebook. I've been very, very lazy about that ebook, but I should finish it before the end of Q2. It would be on Seller, on Next Huge, maybe on Cover Course. So it's literally how to start your career in HR. It's a spin-off of a class I organized recently. A lot of people are not able to join the class. I'll put the videos on Seller, but because I like reading, I just felt like I should just write an ebook. What other thing? I recently relaunched Luminous Consult. So Luminous Consult is sort of a career clarity platform. So I've focused on HR very recent a lot in the last couple of years, but I also realized that like there's a larger market. Like there are a lot of, for example, when I did HR class, one of a larger percentage of my attendees were like final year students, people that just graduated and wanted to, do HR. So in my head, my friend was just telling me, we were talking about how many people like that exist outside HR, right? That do not know what they want to do and all that. So you can book a 30 minutes career clarity session. It's very affordable. Again, I do not like money is always I like money now because boo's economy is very difficult. But money is not always a priority for me. So I think it's also slightly scale. I can't remember the amounts, my virtual stand about it, but like you can actually stop by, book a 30-minute session for a certain amount, and then we just talk through what you're doing in your career. It was then I discovered how helpful 16 personality test has been for a lot of people because I just like go and take this test first, come back with the result, and then let's talk about the things that this test have done for. Yeah, so I think that's majorly it. Aside my small women football project February. Please, anytime, please follow us on Twitter before we blow. So that when we blow, remember you that you're one of our first followers. But yeah, I think that's all. I just found that a lot. I'm doing this in this life. Oh. I did not
I
know.
wanted to say that sounds like a lot of work for one person. Wow.
Um, yeah, that's it.
Awesome, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation to appear on the podcast. I've learned a lot, and I am certain that people who have listened would have also learned a lot. I see that, personally, my mind is buzzing, with ideas for how to empower Nigeria's tech talents. We want to build high performing teams that can compete at a global level. And I feel that the conversation we've had today is very important to make that happen. And I think what makes this episode even more special is that you shared some, really valuable advice for like founders and HR leaders. And if anyone has any questions, you basically said they can reach out to you, right?
Yeah. I would share you like links that they can click on, or they could just
Awesome.
send me Twitter DM. Yeah.
Okay. So for more from Emmanuel, including, the resources and links that we've mentioned in conversation today, you can head over to our show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to the Spotlight podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a review as well to let us know what you think. If you have any questions for Emmanuel based on, our conversation today, please, you can drop us a question on social media or mention us using our hashtag, the Spotlight Pod. I think we can round up here. Emmanuel, any final words?
Yes, please listen to the Spotlight Pod. There was a tweet that was made last year when they were ranking top pods in Africa, and they were like, everything were entertainment and just talking through things. One of the reasons why I particularly grace podcasts like this is because we need more education podcasts and we need our own content that means I can listen to like top podcasters in UK and US, but they do not understand the problem I'm facing in Nigeria like I do. So if you get to this point and you hear my voice, retweet, posts, let people also listen to the Spotlight Pod. That's all I have to say. Thank you. I
Wow.
shout out to you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So rounding up today's
Yeah.
conversation has cemented in our minds that a strong team is the backbone for any successful organization. So I'll encourage you to go out there, build those dream teams, and keep innovating. Until next time, this is Iwalola Shoboale, and today we've had the spotlight on the one, the only Emmanuel Faith. Thank you so much.